can't see you. You don't know how much.
My mama lied. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed.
And he was talking about it.
I can,
But
the way closest because I seen on there the Hope had already expired. So the way I can do it, I can go on YouTube and I can screen share it to like a certain moment
okay,
that you would like.
okay.
I can do that now. But I couldn't find. I was just back here trying.
He was just trying to know it. No, that's fine. He came on here enough that people know what we're talking about.
Okay.
So for that one, so yeah, if I send you this article for us to start with real quick, and you just pop it up at any time we're talking, we're good.
I got you.
Yeah.
I remember what I told you. Anything you need.
I know, man.
I got you, brother.
I hate coming running in like this, man, and asking for the world off the rip, but thank you. So the name of the article was,
That Smoke D is going live today.
Yeah, no, I know. That's why, 45, we ready. We ready.
You just send it to me and I'll pop it up the minute I get it.
Okay.
Ready to roll?
Ready to roll, my brother. Appreciate you.
Sir. Count down for 30. Online.
Let's get this wrong. We already live on. Shout out. We believe digital does it a little differently. Can I get that? You never use those headphones. Are you? We're still doing good. Appreciate you, yeah, brother. It's crazy how we get together. And when we get together, we all live now.
Oh, yeah. I knew we were
Okay.
Make sense, Jackson.
Oh, you know what? I just didn't get everybody.
You gotta make it make sense, Jackson. You got to be Jackson.
Like I'll be 60. Trying to tell people about it. Like I was big when it's been days.
I need you proud. I need your love. I need your smile. Walking thirsty. Welcome, Jackson, Mississippi, to Make It Make Sense. I am your host, Keanu Perry, along with my co-host,
Tariq Abdul Tawab.
Alrighty. And welcome to our fourth
day. Yes, sir. Welcome to day 4 of your only show here, Mr. Mississippi. Now that's what I call him, Mr. Mississippi. Now he moved out of being Mr. Jackson once we went on 5 days a week, but we are now coming to you 5 days a week. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays we're on the legendary 90.1 WNPR, and the hottest new platform that's here in Jackson and Mississippi. We Believe Digital on Thursday and Friday. We're here from 5:30 to 6:30. So first off, thank you. At every show, we really have to thank you because you created the buzz that allowed us to have a platform and continue to talk to you. And with the craziness going on here in Jackson, throughout Mississippi, and throughout the United States, we need every single day. Would you agree, young man?
Yeah.
Because every time we say something, someone else counts it some different way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and not only that, people actually tell us that we wish we can talk to y'all more. We can call in. I'm off at a certain time when I'm working this hour, this shift. The people talk. It ain't just us that want more time. They want more time from us too.
That's right.
So you got to give them what they want. They want to hear from us. They hungry.
Yep. And let's just be honest. We've always been very honest with you all about it. Sometimes it's painful to be honest, right? Sometimes you want to go to the playground and everybody plays with you, right? Instead of you walk inside of a restaurant in Jackson and half the people like, hey, what is this guy talking? But, it's a struggle to get our voice out to you. Understand that, It's a struggle to get our voice out to you. We work with some excellent people. Shout out to our engineer on here. But in terms of when you try to tell people truth about every single thing that's happening, you're going to continuously run against folks that just don't want you around because it's just easier to go along. It's just easier to concede. So it's this is a dedication you have to this. And I was talking to shout out to my brother at Kroger's. I was in Kroger's. I don't know what this is about. I was going to call UKP to tell me, am I tripping on? So what is it called? Oh man, now I forgot the name of the bread.
Sarah Lee.
No, it's not. It's called Bunny Plant. It was called Bunny Plantation. Yeah, it was called Bunny Plantation bread, right? And I remembered it because when they were going through where Aunt Jemima, they were removing a lot of the things that they just knew had a lot of people like, you're so sensitive. They knew it had racist undertones, so they removed it, just did the right thing. I mean, I wasn't going to change my life whether they did or didn't because I'm used to white supremacy, but they just did the right thing by removing it. Well, Bunny bread was one, this is it right here. Bunny has a picture of a bunny on it, the yellow bag. Bunny bread is one of those breads that was in that same conversation because their bread was called Bunny Plantation. And I think they got famous in a bad way in New Orleans, where people were actually working on plantations, selling it cheaply so folks could make sandwiches. Our folks could make sandwiches while they were out there working for a penny on a dollar. So the fact that they called their bread Bunny Plantation bread, they then changed the name, I think in 2020, along with the other companies, completely took it off. So I'm in the store and I'm looking for some bread for my daughter to make her a sandwich before I pick her up from school. And I look at the sign, not the bread, but the sign that's printed out says Bunny Plantation bread. And that just threw me off. So I said, I'm gonna throw that to my callers and ask them.
Plantation.
Yeah, Bunny Plantation bread. Yeah, and which was the name of it prior, but it changed the name. So it just, to me, and I talked to some workers there because I'm friendly with folks, and I said, man, tell me, am I making a big deal about it? And each one of them, this is the workers in Kroger. Shout out to my brother, the supervisor in there. He wasn't a supervisor, but he was like, you know what, that's a good point. And then we try to give every benefit of the doubt. We say, well, maybe it was printed before, it was left over, but it wasn't. So and the only reason that became a question is the conversation, if you remember, KP, we had on our show almost 7 months ago about the fact that a lot of black contractors, vendors, talk about having a huge problem if ever they've been able to get into the game of vending. And when you go into Kroger's and you see folks putting breads on the shelf, those folks generally have an independent contract to go to stores and put that on there, and they're able to make enough money to feed their families off of that versus a $9 an hour paycheck to go and drive the bread there as an employee. So a lot of folks had complained about not being able to get into that business, and that's why my eye was kind of on it. I'm not going to harp on it, but I said I was going to shout out to our audience and say, do y'all see that Bunny Plantation bread?
So it's one, I forgot the name of it, but it's like when something has a race meaning behind it, and they try to change the name for modern capitalization off of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, too many people buy Aunt Jemima, so let's take off the Aunt Jemima. Not because we think there's something wrong with it. And Mississippi just has a habit of saying we'll change when we want to. So that struck me as strange. Anywhere else, it probably wouldn't have been as strong. But yeah, that struck me as strange.
Topics we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Names being changed.
Absolutely, and it's this is not a courageous feat. This is a feat or field, excuse me, where you have to really have some level of courage. The young man, myself, a lot of other people that stand up and talk every day that we work with and work around. But the tide is changing, to your point, right? And as we're going to talk today a little bit about the fire department, we were the first ones that bought you, and it hates us that we bought it to you. Former Chief Willie Owens, in no way, shape, or form, wanted to spend his retirement coming on Make It Make Sense platform to tell you that the city may be in trouble because Mayor Horn did not listen to his recommendation and hired somebody that had no experience in being a chief. He did not want to do that. But when we're able to speak now, we're able to speak to you from a point of expertise now. That's how much we respect the former fire chief, and most of you do as well, whether you agree with everything or not, whether you worked under him or not. That respect was there before, so we can't pretend it's not there now, When anyone grumbled about it before, so now we're going to assume, as of the last time he was in office, that's how you feel about him, respect. So when the chief comes on and says, Tariq, KP, I think Jackson's in trouble. Now, he didn't wait until there was an accident. Go look at our website, Make It Make Sense, JXN. He didn't wait until there was a problem. There was no fire truck burnt. There was nothing wrong. When the chief came on our show and said, I've got something on my chest, it's heavy. This was early in the Horn administration. And he told us, I told Mayor Horn he asked me, who should I put as fire chief? I told him, the lieutenant chief.
Patrick Brown.
He told me I would do that if I'm going to change it. I'll tell you, he instead puts Rashawn Thomas. And Rashawn Thomas was a captain, which means that he jumped 4 levels. So when you see now firefighters being drunk, this is the accusations. We'll never know what is true because anytime you accuse Jackson, half the time they're trying to make us look bad to take something. But when you see it getting to that point where we're open up enough for that to happen, fire trucks burning, people dying. The fire, listen,
The class rating going to a
class rating, your insurance rating dropped, so now we're getting put over. This had local 1807 and Rashawn and a few other people get behind Senator Horn at the last moment, remember? It was a small portion of them, but it was a portion. They have every right to get behind him. But then what unfolded from there is what we're not happy with. So, so after local 1807, which we, first off, we're not, every time we asked about them, we heard about the way that there was a split process for white folks and for black folks traditionally in local 1807 anyways. And a process as a union member, a process means grievance, I'm going to file a grievance. If the union tells you no, you can't file a grievance, you ain't got nothing. That's like a lawyer saying I'm not going to represent you in court. So the history of it, local 1807, in terms of their racism anyways, is horrible. But for them to then get with Captain Rashawn, they back John Horn, and then John Horn turns around and makes the captain a fire chief. And every day we talk, not one of your city leaders are saying this. Make it make sense, Jackson. They don't want to get so mad when you run around the city saying, make it make sense. Want to get bothered with you. But these are the things that cause us not to be able to look the other way. Listen, I was listening to the radio on the way in here. Senator Mumford was on. Always to seem like a nice lady. That's not what we're here for, to talk about who's nice and who's not. We're here to talk about policy and how it affects our people, right? That's what Tarek Abdul-Tawwab is set on. And Senator got a call from an older, much older black gentleman. And she had made a statement where she said, and listen, these are things we talk about all the time, but we hold each other accountable, right? These aren't attacks, these are accountability, and that's how we get better. We got people that come up to us all the time from the streets and say, hey, you should do this differently. Don't do that, calm down. So Senator Mumford got the call, and the gentleman, she had made a comment where she said she was shocked that the Republicans were moving forward to try to redistrict and take away voting rights. I cringe anytime I hear a black person say they're shocked. I cringe even more anytime a black leader says they're shocked. That's the equivalent of going into a cage with a pit bull and then telling somebody you're shocked when you find out the pit bull bites. And you've just been in the cage getting attacked or going back and forth. Now, there's only two answers there. Either you ain't really been in that cage, or so that's why you think the pit bull don't bite. Because you never, now the analogy I'm making is any of our black leaders that have fought for us, right, long term, and I'm not talking about just Ms. Mumford, I'm talking about long term, this is a statement that's said over and over again, but that's the show that it came out on. The way it was handled speaks volumes to where we are as black folk. So the older gentleman, nearly 80, 90 years old, calls in and says, well, I'm surprised, Senator Mumford, that you were shocked that a white supremacist far-right GOP would try to take away your voting rights. Now, let's just be very honest. He's 100% correct to say that. Now, it could have been a wrong choice of wording that she used. We leave every benefit of the doubt. He was 100% right. Cindy Hyde was trying to chop away the voting rights before this ruling ever came down.
Yeah, started in Jackson.
And the Republicans have been consistently, I mean, I'm pulling articles doing research. Watch our site, you're going to see it tomorrow. This is a strong documentary. But doing research on Downtown Jackson Partners, a.k.a. Capital Care Incorporated, a.k.a. What was the other? Ribbon, the Blue Ribbon Committee.
Also known as CCID.
Yeah, a.k.a. CCID. A lot of AKAs, but watch for that. It's coming out. But when I was doing that research, I got to see some of what were we talking about just now? Because I'm about to roll into CCID. Senator Mumford and them talking about
Redistricting of voting.
the redistricting of voting. Yes, you got to see through 1980s up till now how staunchly against voting rights Mississippi politicians, preachers, all of them have been, right? So yes, that's a very big shock to hear a leader say. You give them the benefit of the doubt they may have misspoke, and but you got to leave space for that. They've got to come back and say I misspoke to you. Mm-hmm. That's what it's got to be. Benefit of the doubt is just room to correct yourself. That's all it is. As black folk, we've got to change that whole bar. Benefit of the doubt is not, I know you, I know your mother, I know your father, so you must be up to good. If that was the doubt, we would have gave the previous mayor a lot more benefit than we gave him, right? Big Showquay, rest in peace. Nubia, rest in peace. A lot of people that know him and knew both of them as they house people, welcome people in, celebrities and others from the black community. If we were on that method, then we would have been fine, right? So we don't do that, right? So if they don't come back and correct themselves, then it is what it is. But the gentleman said, I'm surprised that anybody that's worked as a judge, that works as a senator, would be shocked that white supremacists in Mississippi legislature are trying to take away our voting rights as soon as they got the opportunity. Governor Tate Reeves sent back money for children to eat lunches during a pandemic. He then said, we have to, no, I was looking at it because I always like to not, I don't like to paraphrase if I'm repeating what someone said. I like to repeat what they actually said. and he got, pretty worked up. But he then said, um, you got to stop. And this is what he said. He said, you got to remember what it is to be black, to Senator Mumford. Now, his frustration, and this is an older black Southerner, so this is somebody that had every right and respect, and she very respectfully listened to him to the end and tried to get him off of there. She did try to get him off of there because there wasn't a response. Now, gentlemen, sir, you call our show. We'll be very glad to discuss that topic without rushing you off. And listen, I just say what happened. We've never sat up there and gotten messy, anything of that nature. But when we hear our community, folks that are calling in looking for answers, and that brother was frustrated. An 80-plus-year-old black man in Mississippi, and he just heard, this is your protection against white supremacy. And that protection just said, I'm shocked they tried to take away voting rights. They didn't give us voting rights. Tanks did. Tanks, the federal government. They had to come in a law, and then do you realize, we were talking about this, that when the federal government passed the Voting Act in 65, Mississippi was one of the most egregious states with only 7% of the black people allowed to vote based off of their practices.
And the state didn't like that.
And the state did like, this is 65. So this brother's 85 and 90 years old. I won't keep quiet. He's thinking, what the hell? What the hell is going on? I came from what I came from, and our leaders are saying, we're surprised that the GOP is doing this? Good God, we're in trouble. Good God, we're in trouble. If our leaders are surprised, and I'm not mad at the brother for saying, I don't think he meant to imply Senator Mumford is not African-American. That's not what he meant to imply. What he meant to imply is that to Senator Mumford, speaking lovingly, your granddaddy, your great-grandmother, they understood who we were dealing with. And this is what he said to her specifically. Young lady, white supremacy doesn't change from Monday to Tuesday. He's preaching to her. I mean, I know that she might not have liked the rawness in which he was talking, but that's his experience. And any of our leaders that shut off those experiences are dangerous. An 80-plus-year-old black man telling you that Caucasians have done nothing but harm to me, and he's who you shut down? In Mississippi? No, sir. He's got every right to talk about this. If every time he's encountered Caucasian, he's experienced his harm, that's his trauma trail, and he has every right to speak that in Mississippi, because we know there's a great chance that even if it's just from fear of a white person standing up and being murdered, we know there's a great chance he went through that, and for the nerve of our politicians. And I've been the nerve of before, too. Ask my family. I'm no one to just point a finger, and I've been out as publicly as I point at folks. But we've got to hold each other accountable. The same way our leaders say, y'all not voting, they'll call you out by district. They'll call out your area. Rightfully so, I don't cry. But you got to call them, no, Senator Mumford, incorrect. With all due respect. We don't rush that person off the phone, and we don't discuss voting. We answer what he said. And if discussing that black man's trauma can jeopardize your position as a senator, and any of you all, then we're in a lot more trouble than we even thought. Because if in 2026, a leader cannot stand up and say that man is absolutely right. You're right, sir. White supremacy exists so vividly right now in Mississippi. And so openly under Donald Trump.
What we say,
Got me opening the bottle of this.
times great with man and woman.
You got to look at the trails of people.
Yeah.
Got to look at people's parents, all of ours. Not just talking about the senators and all of ours. Hard times create tough men and women. Tough adults create easier times if they don't make their children work for it. We've got to put that on the end of it. Rest in peace, my father-in-law, Mr. Bruce Triplett. You know, he used to take me to 3 grocery stores in one day. It did not make, it was the director of the VA right up on Woodrow Wilson, right? And he was so careful with his money. You get what I'm saying? You know, he was so careful with it. He wasn't about to spend a penny he didn't have to spend. And he taught me a lot about saving my money. And my wife's probably like, he did? I know I struggle with it, but, you know, he still did. But this is a place we've got to stand at. And listen, when we say it's a different price yesterday, that's not threats. We don't think we're anyone we're not. But who we do think we are creations of God that have every right to speak up for our people the same way Miss Mumford, the same way any other politician does. So the only time you'll really see me jump in that swimming pool, just like with Vernon Hartley at that town meeting, when he tried to shut up Scotty. And I had to jump up and say, now, hold on, Mr. Hartley, well, did you vote for it? And then he said, well, I did vote for it. And the crowd was like, well, why are you telling us someone else did? You wouldn't even been exposed to that lie or omission had you not tried to shut up somebody from the community. I don't think my mouth needs to be heard all the time. I just think it needs to be heard when those that have something to say and are feeling the pain of it can't get their voice out there. Go on and fix them and shut me up. That's what you want to do? Shut me. I'm sick of his mouth. Go on and do right by the people. When an older, I'll end it here, we'll move. When an older black gentleman calls any of you leaders and speaks speaks from pain of every encounter that person has had with a Caucasian has ended in pain. And in his time, we didn't deal with Caucasians at the level that you're doing, Senator and mayors, and then you respect that. And maybe sit back at home and think about it. And then we wouldn't be calling people like Ted Hennepin our friends, Mayor Horn. It ain't just Senator Mumford. We wouldn't be calling people like Ted Hennepin our friends when we should be looking out for the constituents that put us in office or the constituents that we're set to be over. So that I drove in hearing that, and I said, anytime that happens, we're going to make a point. We're going to speak up for you as a community. You should be angry. And in 2026, Donald Trump run, Governor Tate Reeves run, and now it's unfortunate I have to put you into that class, Mr. Horn, but John Horn and Mayor in the City Council run, Mississippi and United States. We should never be cutting off somebody speaking from trauma. And then turn around, and this is why I call out the senator, and this is why I'm going to continue to call out our people, and I'll take when I'm called out. Because you'll call out tomorrow and ask why people aren't voting and where the voting apathy is coming from. That's where it's coming from right there. So we're going to move on and talk about, say it again. When our senators ask why are our people not voting? We're doing this to ourselves. Voting apathy comes from conversations like that Senator Mumford is not the first one that has had. She was actually quite polite about the conversation. The end result was just the wrong result. She was actually quite respectful with the conversation. The end result of trying to get him off the line rather than give time to expound on what he said. Listen, cozying up to white supremacy, even if you have to work in the same Congress hall as them or Senate hall as them, it will get us nowhere. And that's what we mean when we say it's a different price today than it was yesterday. We understand that Sherry from 90.1 rallied the community to go down and stand on the state capitol and talk about the infant mortality rate being 15 out of every 1,000 for black babies. The Black Caucus stepped in and said, hold on, don't do that rally. We'll go and we'll bring attendance to it. Next thing we know, the Black Caucus has that study, a study on the back of the Clarion Ledger, where none of our folks can look in and see because it's a paid subscription. And that's what's gone of it, a study. We went from Sherry standing up in the whole community saying, we know what's happening. We've got babies dealing with violence. Our postnatal, our prenatal is horrible. The stress level is horrible. The nutrients are horrible. We've got mothers living in grocery deserts. We've got mothers sleeping in cars. We know what's going on. We've got homeless mothers. So what did Mayor Horn do? Cancel the tiny house project. Mothers would have been catered to first. Let me cancel that. I know you got all these problems. And then it goes to Black Caucus steps in and says, let me take over. This is Senator Mumford. You shutting up the people. Sherry's standing on the stairs. Black Caucus says, we got it. Next thing you know, it's a study. Nothing's happening. Next thing you know, the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies is put in some of the most white supremacist strongholds in Mississippi. It's cut down to 10 counties. Hines is one of them. A lot of counties where black women don't exist are one of them or don't have a large. And then in the counties where there are black, look at our site, on the counties where there are black folks in there, they've got such a racist history, you don't know if that funds are even going to get to them. So let's take this slowly. Sherry from 90.1 in the community said we're going to rally because 15 out of every 1,000 babies are dying. Facebook, TikTok was lighting up. The motion was starting. The movement was starting. Yeah. Black Caucus reaches out and says, hold tight, Brother Sherry. If it hurts you all to go through this, I understand my granddaddy was a great man. He taught me, my father was even greater, and he taught me, you got to go through pain. There is no such thing as growth without discomfort. Those white supremacists are going to talk about black people can't run this stuff every day to take what we have anyways. Listen, don't let anyone believe that by pointing out what black folks in leadership are doing that's holding us back, you're putting us out on display for other people to see. No, those white folks already know what they're doing. When that black man called into Senator Mumford and said, these white people have been treating me horrible, white people in Rankin County was like, yeah, we have, even if I haven't been part of it. They know. So what do you think they feel when they hear that man get shut up? Well, shoot, I got a friend in you. That's what they think. And maybe Senator Mumford didn't start out to be a friend of a white supremacist an hour ago, but she ended up being. Because the moment you shut up the voice of that Mississippian who went through that white supremacy and experienced it, that legitimacy disappears. And Barack Obama's president, and hell, black people should be happy. That's what happens when you shut the voice of the oppressed. So again, we will move off of that, but understand senators, politicians, leaders, and come at me the same way. When you try to shut our city, our state, our people's voice up, when they're yelling from a point of pain, simply because your colleagues across the aisle don't want to hear that as they hurt us, man, listen, we don't need that type of help. Black folks have a common saying. With friends like you, I don't need enemies. It's been transferred into the younger generation. I can do bad all by myself. That's how you may know it. That's how we are as voters.
Yeah.
We love the vote. We can do bad all by ourselves. We'll search for a candidate. I'm talking city council now. We'll search for a candidate before we let you sit up here at city council and pretend that you can't reject the lease for this water authority. See how I merged right there? Because I realized I wasn't going to jump on it.
You said
Oh, that's what you merged into. I said we'll search for new city councilmen if they continue to pretend they can't reject this lease on this water authority, which is the next story that we really want to bridge into.
Oh yeah.
So,
like I said on 90.1, yeah, the comments speak for themselves. They said we got to get. They talking about Stokes. We got to get him out of his seat.
yeah, and it's not just Stokes. 6 to 7 of them. Stokes, I'm going to help you out here. You got 7 compadres sat by and watch you do that. If you come to my house 7 times and break into my daughter's window and try something, listen, I want all 7 of you gone. I want all 7 of you gone if you can't stand up and do the right thing. Now, if one of you can protect and say, hey, stop. We're doing something wrong. You're not going to touch this little girl. I know I came with y'all, but this is wrong. Y'all still got the chance, city council. Stokes seems to be on a slide, an all slide with plastic wrap drawers, and he's gone. And Griselle is the president. That's who's responsible for stopping that. I've got a problem with every level of everything now. You want to let these people continue to suffer and then get to start shutting people up when they cry out? Oh, hell no. You better go up a room. Go on and send it. Ryan Griselle is the president. That's why we get looked at like we're clowns. I hate to do this to you. When the state of Mississippi watches, and I don't give a damn what they think, but since you hardly, everybody wants to bring that up, when the citizens outside of here look and see Stokes being allowed to call community members that have done more than him in organizing and helping, call them gang members and drug addicts, and talk about streets that had violence 20, 30 years ago and people cutting each other lawns now. When he's allowed to do that, and the president, whether it's Virgie Lindsay, because there's been many presidents that have sat by while Stokes has gone off. Remember when he stuck his tongue out at the mayor, was like, dope fiend, dope fiend. Who was the president then? He stood by. Those are the moments that we're being clowned about. The white people in Madison and Ridgeland and Flowood, especially the good one, understand Jackson's being robbed. I don't have a color barrier at who I speak to. They fully understand what's happening in Jackson. Their questions are more, well, why don't you say something? Because I'm not going to. Way too dangerous for me. So we get along well when I have to have those brief conversations. It's very uncomfortable talking to me when it comes to that. So Ryan Griselle is the president. Stokes is attacking citizens, constituents, just daily. This Negro's just taking off. It's like those Facebook, TikTok posts when they show the punches used to hit hard, like George Foreman, he'd be like, go to sleep. And they be like, they got to be gone. He should be gone the way he's knocking people out. That's Stokes. He's been in there yelling, sticking his tongue at people, doing all types of stuff. And Brian Griselle, Virgie Lindsay, Hartley, president after president after president, has just sat there. And we wonder why they say they can't run a government. No, they think we can run a government when we start talking about don't take our water. Oh, that makes perfect sense. They get mad then. When we say don't touch our schools, they get mad. When the young man and I report over and over again, they get mad. But when Stokes acts a pure fool and Griselle lets him, they love that. Where's the popcorn, honey? Stokes is on again. Oh, is Griselle going to stop him? You know he's not. That's how it goes.
Rita Brent.
Yeah, Rita Brent's going to laugh at it, and at least she's a comedian. I try to give her the space for that's her job to laugh at things, and we still don't like it because you're clowning something that's real. That's what hurts us. You can't clown a rapist while the rape is happening. And proverbially, Jackson is getting raped in every way, shape, and form. And when you start to look at more of these documentaries we're putting out, you'll start to understand the level at which it's happening. But yeah, people know they've got time to come down, get their popcorn, and come watch. Not because the community is going to stand up and say, don't change the street on our name. Not because the community is going to be deep in and say, oh, when Ted Hennepin says we all are deadbeats that don't want to pay bills, and say, we don't like that. No, that they see us standing up for ourselves. And quiet as kept, when they see us with signs outside of someone, they're like, oh, they know what's happening. You know when they think we're buffoons? When Kenneth Stokes can do anything he wants in that city council room. And I'll ask you this. You consider yourself an esteemed, educated Tugalulian? What's wrong? I'm sorry, Alta. My son just graduated. He's going to be angry. Jackson State, Alcorn Valley. What other city council have you studied? We need some of these political science majors to call us. Reach out to us. Or you're going to shut the community up with your omission, with your mouth tightly shut, while you know our folks are uneducated intentionally here in Mississippi, specifically in the South and all over the United States. You're just going to sit quiet and never say out loud. Now, let me just say this. I've never seen a city council where they allow someone to act like Stokes acted for the last 20 years. Students, and I know some of y'all have hopped on, shut up. Ask your professor that, why he hasn't said that. Hey, have you ever seen this before? Jackson State, HBCUs, ask your professor. Hey, have you ever seen that happen? Well, why haven't you brought it up in one of our classes before? You can talk about the Tea Party. You can talk about how we as Americans stood up in Crispus Attucks, but you never told us that Stokes shouldn't be doing that. And maybe that's why the city can't run well. Because every time we try to move forward, Stokes is calling people dope fiends. And the president, the process, I'm a process man too. And what does Brian Grizzell do? He waits until Stokes tees off. It's almost like they know each other. Now somebody holds somebody while you punching them and they pretend they're breaking the fight up. That's what Grizzell does. Hold on, stop. I'm just holding KP getting punched in the face. Stop, guys, stop. Pow, pow, pow. Okay, that's enough. The KP bloody and whatnot. He reeling, right? So Grizzell just lets Stokes tee off on he lets him tee off on an audience member. By the time he finished, the audience citizen members are angry. He done talked about their children, laughed at them. He done did everything he can to them. Called them dope dealers, called his own fit. He made them angry, their lips are trembling. And Grizzell jumps in. Okay, Stokes, and wipe the sweat off. You gave him a good one. You gave him a good one. Hartley gets on the radio and his caller calls and said, Hartley, why don't y'all stop that? You know what Hartley said? He said, because he got attacked. I mean, I understand it. Yeah, he started off by saying we're supposed to be professional. And then said, but when you get attacked like that, before Stokes went off, the dude basically said, this is what we want in our community. We don't want the name to change. You're a dope fiend. The other dude that talked to him was saying, yes, sir. The man was actually saying, Stokes, I got you. Yes, sir. Well, you know you and your dope fiend friends. Oh, yes, sir, Stokes. What are you talking about? Ryan Grizzell refuses to do a job in that situation.
Yeah, he went on Super Talk Mississippi, said the same thing over.
Then he went to one of the most racist platforms. Okay, one of the platforms that hosts some of the most racist voices in Mississippi and start talking to them about it. That's what happens when you lose the black audience. This nigga done ran a Super Talk because nobody will listen to him. He's a clown.
He wouldn't go to 90.1
no, he wouldn't go to 90.1. He took his show off of there. He's a clown. After he was shaking his butt during the festival while the rest of us was wondering whether or not we were going to have a water authority, a tax increase, he's shaking his butt, and then we lose. We've lost respect. Second half of this break, we're going to talk about something much more serious than Stokes twerking. Right back at you. Make it make sense, Jackson.
Yeah, that was
He was twerking. You got to say it when it's happening.
An African American.
I'm trying to catch that. I'm trying to catch because they keep clowning us, man. They finally push you to a limit where we don't got a platform and it's informational and the words fit. You know how you call someone out there, man, you hoe ass, but half of that stuff don't really fit. You be like, yo, man, that was horrible. But he is on about thing. This is when we can tee off and it all counts.
Yep.
It all counts. Just like they suing Hotel O right now. Y'all like some fiends. Why y'all suing Hotel O now? Y'all need some money. Y'all run out, you done close down the Parks and Recreation, you stuck stuff together. You like fiends. So we should get back.
Per year.
Yeah. Show me the
$1
money.
per week for you to stay informed
So you don't have to worry
on
about
many
that.
stories that you can only get in the Mississippi
We
Link.
just go right back.
Sign up today at the
Yeah, we go right back in.
Mississippi.com and click on home delivery.
Back in about the fight.
Socrates Garrett, ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett, ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into end-grade materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett, ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfill concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal.
Okay, yeah.
For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Know both of them, but I don't know both of them on there. Welcome back to the second side of the pillow. Doesn't make sense, but welcome back to Make It Make Sense, Jackson. If you missed the first half, I know a lot of our viewing audience is trying to get used to this schedule of ours, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 90.1 at 4:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thursday, Friday, we believe digital streamed over Facebook as well, 5:30 to 6:30 time. So welcome welcome back. If you didn't hear through the first half, we talked a little bit about Downtown Jackson Partners. We're going to be talking about them a lot more and some documentaries dropping about them as well. We're just talking about the names they've had over the years. There's aliases. Just in case you didn't know, before that being Downtown Jackson Partners, they were Capital Care Incorporated for some of my older Jacksonians. Before that, they were formed as a thought idea, as a theory, as the Blue Ribbon Committee under Mayor Dale Danks. They reached their height of being getting their business improvement districts under Kane Ditto, the last white mayor. And when you see that documentary, you're going to realize that when you look back at it, the white infrastructure realized that the demographics were changing. At that point, you had 3 black city council members. They realized a black mayor was imminent, and that's when they began to create what is now Downtown Jackson Partners. Dale Danks started off with the Blue Ribbon Committee, and then Kane Ditto did his due diligence, and he's still on the board of Downtown Jackson Partners. It wasn't called that then. It was called Capital Care Incorporated. That's back when the SCLC tried to file a suit against them because they snatched all the power away from the real black board.
Did you know that the management team name, Downtown Jackson Partners, did you know that a group of prominent downtown property owners, investors, and developers who were desperate to stop the white flight and urban decay that left downtown business empty in the late 1980s and 1990s, prominent local real estate developer Leland Speed, a mayor that was also in Jackson, was a driving force behind the organization coalition.
Yes. And did you also know that there was an original coalition, my people, speak up, jump on there, called not Downtown Jackson Partners. We're going to talk about this and try to slide out. It was called Downtown Jackson Inc. Incorporated. Downtown Jackson Inc. My older Jacksonians, and I'm sorry for calling you older, because if you're 50 like me, you should know it. So speak up, jump on our page, say something about it. Downtown Jackson Inc., right? If you remember, there were African Americans from Jackson on there. It was a shared actual setup, right? And then what did CCI, who's Downtown Jackson Partner, that's the alias, what did CCI do? Capital Care Incorporated. They started a new group, CCI, and they took over everything. That's the part of it that you don't understand. And when you find out what black politician opened the door for this, it's going to break your heart, Jackson. When you find out what black politician, very much active, and you have to wait for that one.
Let me just give him a hint that he used to be.
I'm not. Don't give him no hint. Don't give him a hint. Because some things, You know, we're gonna have to make folks. Some of these things we're gonna have to go to for ourselves, man. We can't keep handing this out, man. We can't keep handing this out, right? But the DJP, especially for Jacksonians, they fully understand. This, all I'm gonna say is this: the door to what's happening right now in Jackson was opened back in 1996 and was opened by the same person that walked through it and is doing all the damage. That's all we're gonna say. But CCI, or Capital Care Incorporated, took over. I'm looking for the other one. Took over the downtown scene as the eminent business organization there, and then they pushed for business improvement districts to be allowed in Mississippi.
Yeah, they basically kicked out coalition members under the DJI.
The black ones, at least.
Yeah.
If you're white and wealthy, you got to stay.
To form their little clique, they property owners who were prominently wealthy and white.
Yeah, that's right. If you got your own, you could stay. And that's why I say you would be amazed at who in our community, this black politician, that was the one that opened the door for the legislation for business improvement districts to come to block out the black people and to allow Downtown Jackson Partner to then form. I'll tell you a little hint. Stephanie Parker Weaver. If that name doesn't ring a bell, with the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, remember when I talked to you about when we had men in our community and women that stood up with spines in their back? You know the conversations I keep having with you?
Sister Hurricane.
Sister Hurricane, thank you, young man. Representing for his city. Sister Hurricane. Remember when I told you about sisters like Sister Hurricane and Fenton? SCLC had a lot of those men. Because that's back when we all had to fight in the same neighborhood because you couldn't go and run to Madison and live there. We all had to come home and drive down the street of the people we said we was fighting for, right? So Stephanie Parker Weaver was an executive secretary of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was one of the most vocal opponents of the district. And one of the most vocal supporters, I'm not going to give it all away, but just understand that. And those of us that are older, please tell the younger people that back in 96, Charles Tisdale, rest in peace, filed a lawsuit against the city of Jackson, Mayor Kane Ditto. Whose transition team is he on?
I don't know.
Mayor Horns.
Oh, yeah.
So Charles Tisdale, rest in peace, filed a lawsuit against the city of Jackson, Kane Ditto, Leland Speed, and then Jackson City Council members claiming that they were taking money and siphoning it to CCI.
Who was the mayor behind Kane Ditto? We just named him. The one that proposed it.
Dale Danks.
Dale Danks.
That's right. So basically, this Jackson City Council before was dominated by African. Well, they're doing it now. They were stealing money and giving it to what is now Downtown Jackson Partners, to the point that Tisdale had to file a lawsuit against the city of Jackson. The former rest in peace Chokwe Lumumba at that time was Ward 2 councilman. He tried to get back and defend Tisdale, but he couldn't at the time because he was already in court. And he said openly that a selected group is being used by people who have more affluence than us. This is Downtown Jackson Partners. This is who you see Mayor Horn sitting with, Jeff Good and all the rest of them down there looking like Curious George. And Jeff Good's the man in the yellow hat. Ooh, y'all may not have understood why I said that. Y'all gonna understand after this documentary hits and you understand what we came from. You went against the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Committee. You told them, I'm gonna deal with these white folks. You shut your mouth and sit back. These are the men and women telling callers when they call in and talk about racism. Ooh, okay, caller. We don't want to hear all that racism talk.
They gave him the monkey.
They gave him the monkey.
Jeff Good.
That's right. And so please understand that that's what it did. This is what Stephanie Parker Weaver, rest in peace, said. The downtown, and this is from, what was it, Sister Hurricane, right?
Yes, it's over.
This is what Sister Hurricane said. So if you don't want to listen to Tarek, you don't want to listen to KP, you don't want to listen to John Horn, who's my friend, and we got a black person, rest in peace, absolutely. This is what Sister Hurricane, rest in peace, said. The Downtown Jackson Inc. this is the one that had black folks on it, was a vision of bipartisan group of individuals who wanted to see downtown grow. But the greed factor of CCI, aka Downtown Jackson Partners, took over. This is what Sister Hurricane said. They basically kicked out coalition members under Downtown Jackson Inc. to form their own little clique of property owners who were primarily wealthy and white. That's why, Sister Mumford, we can't allow you to shut a brother down because he used the word white too much. We ain't talking 1919. We're not talking 1940.
You act like you don't know.
We talking 90s. Sister Hurricane, rest in peace, passed away with her struggle. We're talking the 90s. Go ahead and tell them who did it.
You sure you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, let him tell him do it. No, okay, you're right. You're right. We'll drop it because it's not imminent to
No, I got a lot of names for him. You know, yeah, I might get kicked off.
Yeah, I know. We don't want. You can't get that. We don't want. But the actions are so horrible. But so please understand that as we start to land this show, we're gonna land on time here, you all. We off at 6:30. As we land this show, please understand. When my sister Pat with Mississippi Poor People's Campaign was singing this song so powerfully as she does, somebody's hurting my people that's been going on far too long. That's where we are. I don't care if you're black, you're white, you're I don't care what you are and what your connections are and who you think you are. You keep hurting our people. You keep collaborating with folks hurting our people. You keep laughing at them. And remember, I'm the state. I'll pick the charge up. The person can slap me in the face and say, I don't care that they hurt me. I wasn't here for you, sister. I was here for the future. That's what black resistance looks like. Black resistance wasn't never about the current times. For that moment, they would have gave up. A lot of our ancestors knew they weren't going to see nothing better in their lifetime. They knew that sure as they were standing there that they would die before changes came. And they still fought. So changes would come for the next. So when some of you see me, like, man, what you be on? That's what I be on. That's what you should be on too. Yeah. I suggest you get right as well. Because when I hear senators tell our people to calm down when they start talking about how bad these white folks have treated us, and then when I hear our leadership say they're surprised that the far-right GOP is trying to take away our voting rights, we're in trouble. The state's going to pick this charge up. Make it make sense is going to pick it up. So we need to start getting our people ready for these runs. We need to start it with this city council, and let's say this clearly in this 2-minute frame. Jackson City Council, you're lying to the people through omission. You're playing with the people's future, and each and every one of you that haven't spoken up should be ashamed of yourself. You're telling the people we have two choices. We can either go up or we can go down, and you're not telling them you can also go straight. They're telling us that we can either accept the Water Authority or reject the Water Authority. But they're not telling us that the city, we have to go to Judge Wingate to do that. So they're dragging us in front of Judge Wingate, a Reagan-appointed judge, over and over again, so they can tell you, well, the judge said no. And the whole time they can just pick up their lazy, worthless selves and reject the lease. If you have not sent an email to your councilman yet saying reject the lease, it's on you. If you haven't sent an email to your councilman yet saying reject the lease, it's on you. Don't sign no papers. Don't do no interviews with no news in 3 or 4 years. When they say, well, what happened to y'all? Be like, but they took it from us. No, they didn't. You gave it away. You joined Mayor John Horn, and you just out here giving it out. Now they suing Hotel O, trying to get some money. They're just like crackheads. I'm not saying Hotel O don't know what's money, but it's y'all just, you done combine the Parks and Recreation Department. Now we don't know how that's going to affect Jacksonians. Now you're trying to, you done sold off every asset you can. John Horn told us to give up the water authority. Hurry up. The airport land, hurry up and give it up. You done sold away everything we can make cash off. Now you're trying to sue people. You like a bully on a block. You like Cameron in the movie, paid in full. Not Cameron, the dude, the other dude, but Guy Pfeiffer. Everyone that owed me, you crying and sniffling. Everyone that owed me better pay me. Because you know what? When Hedefin ran up to D.C. to get 50 million more and you ain't got nothing out of it. You thought you were going to get Pete Brown Golf Course, get some work done so you and your cronies can play golf and have cameras put up a lot around Lake Caroline so y'all could be safe. And they took that away from you and said, smack that hand. Boy, don't you still have a lawsuit going on? When you bow down to me like a good boy, that's when I'll give you something. And I'm going to close on that. That's Tate Reeves' message. So you politicians that keep shutting down our people and keep trying to make friends with these white supremacists across the aisle, God willing, your time is up. Because we're not going to continue to sit here and let you do that to us.
What's her name again? Mumford.
That was Senator Mumford, but she's not the only one. She's the younger one, so I don't want to leave that on her. From Senator Mumford to Benny Thompson. Well, I'm not going to say that because Benny will start talking to him. I was surprised. I don't think he'd be surprised. People got a lot to say about him, but I don't think he'd be surprised they're trying to get him out of there. I don't think he'd be surprised at that. Last word, KP? He should be. Leave Benny alone. For my co-host,
Keanu Perry.
and myself, Targum Dutois, we love you, Jackson. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. We Believe Digital, same place, 5:30 to 6:30. Take care of yourself, Jackson.
Get rid of
It's going to get realer tomorrow. We out. Leave Betty alone.
My mama love.